Hello and welcome to my video. I have been needing to make this update or follow-up video for a while because a lot of people have been asking about how the board did. If you didn't know this, I made this board back in May, April, June of 2025, and I made it with the intention of taking it on a surf trip to another country and seeing how it performs. So that's what I did. I made this board. It's a 6'5", like 22 inches wide, and I think it's like 2.5 inches thick. But anyway, a lot of people have been asking me about how did it go with the travel, you know, like taking a surfboard on the airplane and so on and so forth. So without further ado, I will tell you this surfboard got a lot of damage on the trip. I think I counted like 8 or 9 new dents in the rail. You can see one of them there that it has now. As soon as I got it out of the surfboard bag, when I landed at my destination, yeah, there was bad news. There was like instantly 5 or 6 dents. But oh, it did get damaged.
Oh!
Man.
Hopefully it's just that.
Yeah, hopefully it's just that. No, that's me.
That's just...
I put a little extra on there.
Wow.
Some solar dust.
Is this just from too much pressure, or is it something?
Should I put this one on the top, I guess?
You never know.
But I had a lot of faith in the surfboard suitcase that I bought. I bought like what I thought was the top of the line. It's a ProLite Arromed Coffin with like this inflatable material inside of it. And in their advertisements, they have a really good marketing. They show them like dropping it out of the back of a moving vehicle onto the street, and you know, there's like no damage. I don't know how that's possible, but so I shipped it in the airplane with me. I had 4 flights to get to Siargao, and so that was from Kansas City. I took a Delta flight to Seattle, and then from Seattle I went to Seoul, South Korea, and then from South Korea I went to Cebu, which is in the Philippines, and then from Cebu I went took like the last flight was like an hour long to Siargao. And that last flight, I'm pretty sure it got some damage there, because when we landed the plane and then he hit the brakes, because I think it was like a short runway, everything in the seat next to me went flying forward. So I'm pretty sure the luggage that was in the luggage compartment did the exact same thing, and everything probably just tumbled. So I saw other people once we landed in Siargao at the airport when they were like picking up their luggage. A few people, one guy, he did open his surfboard bag and he was like checking it for damage, I assume. I did not do that. It was hot and I had like a ton of confidence that I had purchased the top of the line surfboard bag for travel, so I was not worried at all. I didn't check it between any of my flights. I just didn't, you know, I kind of wasn't worried, because I figured if there was damage, I know how to fix it myself, and I'll just take care of it, you know. So but yeah, this board was on the bottom of the bag, bottom of the case. It got the most damage. This other board, the 6'2" fish, was on the top. And I think the way that the padding in the case kind of like comes around the top when you close the zipper, I think the top board gets a little bit more protection, and the bottom board is like kind of at the edge of no protection. So I think though, one of the reasons this board got so much damage, you can see it here and some more like down here on the tail and a bunch up there, is so you have to go back in history from when I first started surfing. We were in California, Ventura Beach. We rented a surfboard, rented a couple of surfboards, but you had to hike them across the sidewalk that goes over the highway, and then down to the stairs, and then you got to walk up the beach to get to Ventura Point to surf there. And I totally like annihilated my shoulder just carrying the heavy board that we rented. I didn't know as much about boards back then, but that board was extremely heavy, and for years, bad shoulder because of that. So I'm just like traumatized by a really heavy surfboard, and I did not want the boards that I've been building to be that heavy. So I went a little light on the construction, and I think I went a little bit too light, I would say, on the construction, because that's probably why this one got so much damage. I do have 2 layers of fiberglass on the top, and then that wraps around the rail, but I think I only put 1 layer on the bottom. Definitely not enough. I think I needed like 3 on the bottom, because you can see the compression from the water where it compressed the foam in the board and like pushed the fiberglass down. So now you can see the stringer that runs down the center of the board, and that really heavy stringer, I think it's a little over, it's a 1/4 of an inch, is probably the only thing that kept the tip of the board from getting completely like whacked off when I hit. I did a wipeout, and it's like you probably see the original damage you can see in my post on Instagram. The positive note, I caught 3 waves, and the board still in one piece. She got a little bit of damage. She got a rock. She made a new friend at the bottom of the ocean. But there was a huge gouge right here, and what had happened is the board got pushed under by a wave after I wiped out. It hit a piece of the reef or a rock, and a huge chunk came out right there. But it put so much pressure on the nose that there's actually like a wrinkle here. I don't know if the light picks it up. Oh, it's actually like right here. So this part of the board is like kind of like pushed back or something a little bit. I'm not exactly sure if it's like pushed down or pushed up. But that really heavy stringer that I put in there is probably the only thing that like kept the front, this nose of the board like from just getting like completely torn off. But so yeah, I probably went a little bit too light on the construction. So that's I'm not mad about the damage, because I learned so much about how light can you go, and my goal was to make a really light surfboard, and that surfed, so I accomplished that, and I'm really happy about that. But will I do it again? No. What I'm going to do different in the future? Well, first off, I'm going to fix this surfboard, and then any ones that I make in the future, which there will be some, there's going to be like 3 layers on both sides. There's going to be like 4 ounce, 6 ounce, and then another layer of 4 ounce fiberglass. Yeah, so I got to do a lot more. I'll post in the description how much this board weighs, but it is extremely light, but its weight, its lightweightness caused it to be able to get damaged pretty badly. And I think even some of the damage is caused from when I put it in the rack on my scooter while I was in Siargao. And the roads going to a few of the surf spots were like really choppy. And I think just the bouncing on the rack and the bungee cords holding it down so tight also put some damage in the rail. So I did some really bad repairs while I was there, but only surfed this one actually like twice, and I'm still happy with it because I had never made a surfboard before and then surfed it, and so that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I did, and it worked. So yeah. So also when I was traveling home, because I had such a bad experience getting there with the damage that was occurred, I did put a lot of also like my clothing, you know. People told me, they were like, hey, like when you opened the case, like when I did my reveal video, they were like really surprised, like, hey, how come you didn't have like more padding in there? Well, I listened to those people, and I wrapped more of the edges, not only in the insulation, but like clothing. And this board that was on the bottom of that ProLite Arromed Coffin case, it still came home with one more dent through all of that, through the foam insulation, through the clothing that I had wrapped around it, through the inflatable padding stuff that's in that case. It still came home with another new dent that I was just like shocked. But it went halfway around the world, 4 flights. So what can you expect? But yeah, happy I did it still. Okay, so I want to give you a little bit of a closer look at the damage, and then I'll also show you the bag that I had the board in and some of the additional like protection that I thought I had done and what I think I would do differently in the future. So here's the damage. Like this one was from the airplane. I think this one was from the surfboard rack. There was more back here. I think that was from the airplane, and a little bit of some stuff back here. If you go up to the nose of the board, a lot of this like black stuff here is actually from the foam insulation that I put on the board like while I was bringing it back home. I put some additional protection on it. But here's the gouge. That was a huge gouge. It went all the way from the front, and it was very deep, like an inch deep. So I did a bad job mending that while I was over there. And then also when it put like so much pressure on the front of the board from this impact point, it actually cracked a lot of the fiberglass right here. So there was a crack here and a crack here, and you can see the discoloration. So yeah, and there was another really bad spot back here. I think that was from the airplane as well. But yeah, so here's the bag that I put in the board. I put the board in, and I even had this sock to cover up the board. So the board was in that and on all of the flights. So it's total like 8 flights, 4 to get there, 4 to get home. Here's that inflatable protective barrier that you blow it up, and it gives a little bit more protection to the surfboard. And then while I was there, I went to the hardware store and I bought this piping insulation that you normally would put like on your hot water pipes or your air conditioning system lines. And I taped that to the board. So that's some of the black residue, and like a lot of the tape is still like stuck to the board. It's pretty dirty right now. But I think what I would do in the future, what I would recommend is not that, but like those really thick foam pool noodles. That's really what I went to the hardware store like looking for when I was there. I wanted to get the foam noodles and then cut those. So that's what I would recommend if you're traveling with your surfboard. But also, if I could go back in time and do it all over again, I think it would be just wiser to like not take my own surfboards, and instead I talked to one of the local surf shops there, and they told me to, hey, like some people, they just buy a board when you get here. If you're going to be here for a month, like I was there for 4 weeks, and then when you're done, you just like sell it, you know. So the board was like 35, maybe the one I was wanting was like 40,000 pesos, you know, upwards of like, I don't know, $500 or something or more. I don't know, remember exactly. But then you maybe can then resell it, you know, and like only lose like 500 pesos or something. So that's what I recommend doing in the future, is just buying a board and you get there. There's hundreds of boards to rent. You really don't need to take a board, so you also just rent one. But yeah, I really wanted to test out my construction. This was the first one that I made, and then this was the second one that I made. And yeah, so like I said, still a success for me because I learned so much. So yeah, thanks for watching.